Alright, here we want to look at multiplying or working with the square root of a negative number. And one of the things that we need to do first here is simplify these expressions that contain the square root of a negative number. So let's come over here to the side and let's simplify the square root of negative 12. Well, we're going to simplify that by breaking it into 3 radicals. Because 12 is not a perfect square, we're going to need 3 radicals. In the first radical, we're going to put the largest factor of negative 12 that's a perfect square, and that's 4. In the middle radical, we're going to put negative 1. And in the third radical, we're going to put the leftover factor that causes the product of 4 times negative 1 times the number that goes here to equal negative 12. And that would have to be 3. So the square root of negative 12 is 2i times the square root of 3. The square root of negative 4 is the square root of 4 times the square root of negative 1, which is 2i. So remember, one of the things we have to remember here is this building block fact that I is the square root of negative 1. So now we're going to come back to our problem. Now that we've broken things down, we're going to come back to our problem, and we are going to replace square root of negative 12 with 2i times the square root of 3. And we're going to replace the square root of negative 4 with 2i. And we didn't need to make any changes to the square root of 2. And now we're going to apply the distributive property. 2i square root of 3 times 2i is 4i squared times the square root of 3. 2i times square root of 3 times negative square root of 2 is negative 2i times the square root of 6. We have to remember that I squared is negative 1. So here we have 4 times negative 1 times the square root of 3 minus 2i times the square root of 6. So if we want to put this in standard form, we simply need to multiply 4 times negative 1 times the square root of 3 to get negative 4 times the square root of 3 minus 2i times the square root of 6. A lot of times when a radical expression involving I is written, we will put the I in front of the radical to make sure it's clear that it's not inside of the radical. So this is how I deal with principal square roots applied to negative numbers.